Hey guys, I interviewed $7 million accounting firm owners, and these are the different lessons that I learned from that experience. So I wanted to kind of interview some different like seven-figure business owners to see like what can I implement from their business into our students' business, including my own business, so that we can make sure we can get even faster results, better results, and longer lasting results for the mentorship students. So also, if you have not gotten a chance to go and check out our mentorship program, go ahead and click on the link inside the description below to book a call with myself or my team member to see if we can help you inside of our paid mentorship program. But back to what we're talking about. So number one, the most important thing, and I'm gonna like kind of break down some of the different notes that I took and just like kind of my interpretation of them based on like what was talked about. But number one, you need to have a scalable service. So operations is like the first thing that tends to break down in our industry, and that's also makes it hard for most people to scale. Now, most services that we offer like stem from like being like a technician. Like maybe you were an accountant in corporate America, or maybe you were an accountant in corporate America, but maybe you learned bookkeeping, you fell in love with bookkeeping, or you really love like doing the actual transactional aspect of it, right? But most people, when they're starting a business, they're so used to being an employee that they're oftentimes doing the work themselves, right? So when they start getting more momentum, they're still doing all the work themselves, and they end up kind of hitting like either a time capacity, an energy capacity, a financial capacity. There's always a capacity when you're doing everything yourself. Now, the first thing, in order to like kind of like really remedy this and make sure that you don't, number one, hit that capacity too quickly, or if you do hit the capacity, it's something that's very controlled, is number one, understand like how much work can you actually take on at any given time while still being able to take on new clients. One problem that I see a lot of like beginners do is as soon as they get like their first, their second, or their third client, right? As soon as they get a new client, they stop. They're like, oh, I just want to make sure I do a really great job on this one client. And that in theory sounds really good, but in actuality, it's not the best for your long-term growth, especially if you're trying to grow this business so you can like leave your job, right? Because it's like, number one, what happens, like most people, they like get their first client, they maybe like spend like 3, 4, 5 months trying to like understand like all the different aspects of it, and it's just like by the time you go after your second client, it's already 6 months in. It's just like, okay, so now you maybe get your second client, and it's just like it's been like 6 months. You only 2 clients after like 6, 7 months, right? And that's assuming that you got your first client on day number 1. So it's just like you need to make sure you're keeping in this momentum, right? Because what you're actually doing, as soon as you get a client, you stop. You're actually building a habit and like teaching yourself kind of a lesson that whenever you start getting momentum, you slow down. And that's not a good habit to have, because like all we really have in this business, right? In business in general and in life is like our habits, right? You're either going to be made or broken by your habits. So for example, let's say that one of your habits is you like doing stretching for 5-10 minutes a day. Okay, over a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year period, you're going to be in a lot better shape and condition than someone who has never stretched a day in their life. I'm guilty of this, right? I didn't do any stretching. I used to do a lot of like martial arts when I was younger, but I stopped stretching for about 10 years. And like there was a time like I started getting like a massage at this like massage therapy clinic, and like I couldn't literally like move my hands above my head for a while. Like that was like a thing. I couldn't really turn my neck. I couldn't like my back was really tight, my chest was tight, my shoulders were rounded forward, and it was just like, yeah, my body was starting to like really get super tight, and it's just like it felt really uncomfortable, right? So then what I ended up doing was just going there 2 times a week. I still go there 2 times a week, and I have a person actually like stretch my body in like different directions and stuff, so I'm actually able to stay very limber, very loose. But it's all about the habits that you build. So now I'm building a habit which is like very good. Same thing with like the gym, right? I've been going to the gym for a long time, and it's a consistent habit I have. Like there's some times where I don't go the 5 days a week. Maybe I go like 3 days a week or 4 days a week, right? When I should be going 5, 6 days a week. It's but it's still a habit I'm building. At least I'm in there more days than I'm not in there. So it's all about those habits you're creating, right? So make sure that whenever you get a new client, like you make sure you still keep going after clients, even if you have to like build a waiting list. Like building a waiting list is not a bad thing, and like kind of letting them know that, hey, I can't take on clients right now because I just had like this big cleanup project, and I'm like in process of being able to fix it. Next thing is, business is a lot about timing. So oftentimes if you get your first client, you should get your next client very, very, very quickly. And the reason why is because like just in life in general moves in cycles, right? So there's a number of different cycles. There is the beginning of the year, there is tax season, there is summer vacation for the kids. There's like a month of August is when most business owners take vacation, and October is when you might have like different like tax deadlines, and then November is when cleanup season starts. December is when people are looking for like end of the year like tax returns. So it's like a lot of times moves in season. Now, do you have to be on one of those like main sequences in order to get clients? No, you get clients every single day of the year, but there's a higher percentage, a higher likelihood that multiple businesses are going to be looking for your help around those certain cyclical points. And if you're in the program, we talk about like cyclical points of et cetera, because like we have like the luxury of being able to see a bunch of students and they all report like when they get new clients. So I can say, okay, hey, for example, last week, almost every person that came to our community call had a client. So it's like, hey guys, you guys need to press very, very hard this week and next week. Because if every single person that's on the call got a new client, we even had like one student, Yulia, got like 5 clients last week, right? But it just kind of shows like she was still open to taking clients when she got a new client, right? Now, Yulia is not like exactly a beginner anymore. I mean, she was in the program for about, I think, 4 months so far. And I mean, she got an extra 5 clients last week, right? She's very close to being, I believe, at like 7 to about like 10K per month. I have to kind of check in with her to see exactly where she is. But it's just like, yeah, you know, you have to be aware of like the timing of the business. And one thing that I always encourage our students to do is every single time that you get a client, number 1, you mark it inside of like your tracking spreadsheet. But number 2, I would actually draw it on a physical calendar. Like if you have like one of those calendars that shows like every single day of the year, I would literally put like green markers to show when you got a client. So you kind of know like if maybe next year there's like a slow week or like a slow day or a slow month, it's not like some kind of shock, or you feel upset, or you feel like things are breaking, you feel like things aren't working, right? You need to basically like make this as predictable as possible in order for you to keep scaling. The next thing is going to be, after you have your service down, one other thing for service is you got to be able to start thinking about like, number 1, either like having more of a consulting style service. So for example, let's say that you're doing bookkeeping as your main service, right? Maybe upgrading to a CFO level service, right? Where it doesn't necessarily take your direct time. So you can have like maybe your team do a lot of like the bookkeeping. And even before we talk about scalable service, we probably should talk about team, right? So you need to know kind of what your capacity is, so you know when you should start bringing on like subcontractors to do work that's very transactional and very routine and very kind of entry level type, right? Because then what you can do is, number 1, you have the choice of just creating passive income for yourself. For example, let's say that you have like $5,000 a month worth of clients, right? But you don't want to do the work yourself, right? You're generally looking to give up anywhere between like 25 to like 50% of the work that you're doing on your contractor team. So let's say worst case scenario, you're going to be giving your subcontractor, we'll say like $2,500 a month to do it. Okay. Now, some people will be like, well, I was making $5,000 before, now I'm making $2,500. That's terrible. It's like, yeah, kind of. It depends how you kind of look at it. If you want to just keep all the profit in your business and not really grow, because maybe you, for whatever reason, like you just can't, right? $5,000 a month, you definitely can keep pushing. But I'm just giving it for the sake of example, right? So let's say that you're going to hit this cap where you can't grow anymore, right? So by having this subcontractor team, it allows you to be able to go and get more hours, and it allows you to start collecting passive income. So now you're actually starting to have a business rather than just like being a highly paid like self-employed person. So there are pros and cons to both. It really kind of depends on your situation. Alternatively too, what you can do is you can employ a lot of automation, so the work is being done automatically. Like one of our students, her name was Megan. She was doing about $5,000 a month. She was spending like 5 minutes a week on the work. Like her skill set in automations was ridiculous, like ridiculous. I might even be remembering incorrectly like how much time she spent. It was some like just obnoxiously low number because she was just a whiz when it came to that. But in her case, she doesn't necessarily need a subcontractor, right? Because she could just keep going 10, 15,000, then she's probably only gonna be spending like 3 hours a week on it. Now, this is not typical. I'm not guaranteeing that you're gonna get to like $15,000 a month and you have like 3 hours worth of work a week. That's a special scenario because she utilized a lot of our trainings on like how to do automation and stuff. Okay, so let's say you have the work automated. Let's say that you start having contractors and you're really thinking more of like a business owner. The next step would be you don't just want to bring on a team so you have like nothing to do all day. Like that's kind of cool. Like it's cool until a certain point. So for example, for me, the reason why I started doing the mentorship program was because like I had automated so much of like my business when it came to like I have a controller, I have a number of like staff accounts underneath me, that the work was pretty much automated, and my controller is really good at like talking to the clients, right? So I like literally had nothing to do all day except for like, you know, like consultation calls. So I was just like, it feels cool for a little bit, especially like if you've come from like a really stressful kind of career. But if you're like a really high performer, you're generally gonna want to do something. Even if it's not like a lot, you're just generally gonna want to do something, right? So for me, I like doing consulting. Some people, they start doing like tax planning or tax strategy. Some people do like CFO. But those services are a little bit easier for you to charge a higher price point, and it's just the amount of work you do for that price is not necessarily as linear as what it is when you're doing more of like a transactional type of service, like bookkeeping. So it's just like different things to kind of think about. If you want to kind of know what are like the different services you can offer, like inside of our mentorship program, we help you understand like what are all the different things you can charge for, what is kind of like your past life, all the different like skill sets you could have had in the past, and how can we utilize that to be able to go and create like a scalable service. Once you're at about like 10 to about 12K per month, that's kind of when we start looking at that. Cool. Next thing is lead gen. So the lead gen needs to be down to a predictable, like it needs to be extremely predictable. Basically down to like either the dollar per energy or the dollar per client, right? So you need to know exactly how many relationships you have to create in order to get one consultation call. Now we're going to talk about sales in a minute, but for consultation calls specifically. So the reason why it's important to do that is because you can spend either energy or you can spend money to go and get clients. Now, when you talk about spending money, that's like generally paying for like advertisements or promotions of some sort. That's most people kind of think about that whenever they think about starting a business, like, oh, I can advertise. And it's like, that's kind of a can of worms in itself, like learning how to advertise. Like, how much should you be spending per day? What kind of like creative should you make? A creative just means like what pictures and words should you make? What's your targeting? Like, what's your target market actually going after? Is your target market easily available on the ad platform that you're going after? For example, Instagram, if you're trying to advertise on Instagram, it's a lot harder to advertise based on demographics because it's based on more like interest based, right? Or if you use like Facebook ad manager and you're advertising on Instagram, like it's a whole different set of targeting, right? So it's like it's interest based, it's demographics based, there's just a lot of different features, but that can be overwhelming for a lot of people. So it's like, I generally don't encourage people to start advertising until they're at least making like between 7 to about 12K per month. Because like even before that, like it just isn't necessary. You can really get around it by just like doing some of the stuff we talk about. So like number one, the second thing you can spend is like really calling more like energy or sweat equity. So it's like, it's building the partnerships. And we talk a lot about partnerships on this channel because it's the easiest way for you to grow your business. Now, when I say partnerships, I like utilizing LinkedIn to go and build those partnerships to go and get that initial traction for our business, right? Because one partner can give you anywhere between like, they can give you one client all the way up to like 10 clients. Like Yulia last week when she got the 5 clients, 3 came from one partner, 2 came from another partner, so 5 in total. But building the partnerships, like it can be just exponentially easy on your time, right? If you're really good at talking to people and if you're good at building those relationships. Next, like making posts on social media. Now, I don't encourage people to do that, but if you're doing this stuff on your own and you're trying to post, you have nothing better to do. I mean, posting is not a bad first step if you have no other like options, right? Another thing could be, building your network on LinkedIn. I'm really, really bullish and like really just love doing that on LinkedIn because it's just the easiest platform to start growing an audience and choosing who's going to be inside that audience for you to start building those connections, start getting those clients. Next would be like running Google My Business. Another one could be doing search engine optimization, which like you're doing a lot of blogs, you're doing backlinks. You're basically trying to get your website to go to the top of Google in different search terms so that when someone searches up a term, it shows up at the top and you're the first person to see, which makes it easier for you to start getting calls and leads. Next would be like sending proposals on Upwork. Now, I don't really like sending proposals on Upwork if you're a beginner and you don't really know how to like defend your price, but these are all options. I'm just giving you examples in this case. I'm not saying whether you should or you should not do it. I'm just giving you an example of what sweat equity looks like. Now, the reason why it's important is because business is about certainty, okay? Business is about certainty. Someone asked like, why should I like do your mentorship program or a mentorship program in general versus just try and do this on my own? It's like, I mean, you could do it on your own, but it's like, if you're like in a bubble, right, where it's just like, oh, I don't care how long it takes for me to be successful, I just want to make a couple dollars and it's not really that big of a priority, you can kind of risk it, right, because there's nothing really at stake. But if it's more of like, if you want to leave your job and you have like a timetable, you generally want certainty, right? Because you're going to try stuff. Like, you're going to try going to Upwork. You're probably going to try and build a website. You're going to dabble on LinkedIn, dabble on Facebook, dabble on Instagram. You're going to try some networking events. You're going to like mail out some postcards. You're going to do some flyers. But it's like all these are just a bunch of tests. You're like recreating the wheel, essentially. Just a bunch of tests, right? And there's nothing wrong with tests because you could get lucky on your tests, right? But again, that's not certain, right? You could, but it's not certainty. So when you go over and you actually do something that has like more of a process already been proven across like hundreds of students, you have that just direct kind of like, okay, this works, this is how many times you do this thing, this is what this is going to look like when this happens, here's a sign of success, here's a sign of failure, here's a sign that you need to tweak something, and then being able to actually go and utilize that data to go and give yourself that edge, right? So that when you do look back at the end of the year, you're at your 10K per month kind of goal because you had that certainty that you knew exactly what you're doing, you knew exactly why you were doing it, right? So it's just like that's what we talk about. Like if you're going to go to like 6 figures or eventually going to go to 7 figures, you need to have predictability and certainty when your stuff. So that's why it's like you need to track your numbers. You need to know like how many connection requests I have to send on LinkedIn to get one client. How many, social media posts I need to make to get one client. How many partnerships should I make to get one client? How many proposals on Upwork do I have to send to get one client or one consultation call? Okay, so that's part number 1. I'm actually going to split this into 2 parts because I feel like this video is like over 20 minutes long. So next we'll talk about the sales process, simplifying the sales process. We'll also talk about like why you need to start developing a brand on social media and just making it super easy. Now, if you want to help growing your business, like we kind of talked about certainty, if you want to make sure that you're actually going to put yourself in the best position to go and reach your business, go ahead and click on the link inside the description either above or below the video to book a call with myself or a member of my team to see if we can help you inside of our private mentorship program. Now, we cannot help everybody. This program is not a great fit for every single person in the world, right? We're looking for a select group of people that are ready to take our proven tactics, our strategies, be able to implement them to the letter, and be able to go and hit success. If that's you and that's what you're looking for, more of that certainty, more of like knowing exactly what you need to do in order to go and hit your goals, go ahead and click on the link inside the description either above or below the video to book a call with myself or a team member to see if I can help you out. If you're ready, I will see you on the call. If you're not ready, I'd recommend you do it anyway. Like nothing in life happens when we're ready, right? You have a kid before you're ready in most cases, right? It's just like you just gotta learn how to dance inside of the thunderstorm. Just how it is. So I will talk to you soon, or I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.